Andy Gibb, the youngest of the Gibb brothers, had it all. But behind the spotlight, he was sad. He never married, had only one daughter, and died tragically. His abandoned house and the net worth he left behind tell a haunting story. What happened to Andy Gibb? Join us as we dive into his tragic life and death. Andy Gibb's abandoned house in California. Andy Gibb's old house used to be a lively and charming place with music, laughter, and famous visitors. Now it is abandoned and forgotten, hidden by overgrown trees and cracked walls. The house, once a proud symbol of fame and success, is now a ghost of its former self, lying in ruins as a reminder of a life cut short. The house in California was said to be very shiny. Andy Gibb, the youngest of the famous Gibb brothers, was thrilled when he bought it. It was a dream come true for him. Andy was gaining popularity in the late 1970s with hit songs and a voice that captivated many. The house was just as impressive as his growing fame. It was spacious, contemporary, and located in a tranquil and upscale area. In the past, the house was full of life. There were parties in the spacious rooms where friends, musicians, and famous people came together. It was more than just a house. It was a spot where memories were created. People would come to swim in the pool, listen to music, and spend time with Andy. He would greet them warmly and with charm. The garden used to be filled with colorful flowers, and the front yard was well kept and green. Every part of the house showed Andy's happy personality. But then, things started to be different. Andy faced personal issues like substance dependence and mental health problems, causing the house to lose its sparkle over time. As his career declined and his health deteriorated, the house became less of a place for gatherings and more of a quiet escape. Eventually, he moved out of the house. Sadly, he passed away in 1988 at the young age of 30, leaving the property abandoned. No one moved into the house. No family member took ownership of it. The house remained unclaimed. Over the years, it was left untouched as nature and time reclaimed it. Broken windows allowed rain to seep in. The walls showed cracks. Wild plants began to grow in the yard and climb the walls. Inside, dust collected on furniture that used to welcome famous visitors. The pool dried up and became an empty, cracked basin. Graffiti now adorns some of the exterior walls, evidence that curious individuals have visited the abandoned property. The property was also neglected in legal terms. After Andy's unexpected death and potential complications with his estate, no actions were taken to upkeep or sell the house. It ended up in a state of uncertainty, not officially owned by anyone, not demolished, and not renovated. Over time, neighbors witnessed the transformation of the once vibrant celebrity residence into a gloomy, abandoned structure. But why is this house abandoned? Isn't there no wife or family to inherit it? Let's dive into his personal life and uncover the reasons why. The heart Andy couldn't hold on to. Andy started to experience love when he was a teenager. Before he became famous, he had brief relationships that were sweet and pleasant. He was kind and charming, which attracted many young girls to him. These early relationships were uncomplicated and hopeful, looking towards an uncertain future. As Andy's music career took off, some of these girls served as inspiration for his songs. His music reflected the emotions he felt during those young love affairs. Andy married an Australian woman named Kim Reeder in 1976, whom he met while pursuing his music career. Their relationship was new and moved fast, but unfortunately, it did not last. Shortly after getting married, their relationship started to deteriorate. The increasing fame and personal issues faced by Andy created a gap between them. They split up before their daughter, Kita, was born. Even though they were legally married, Andy never got to fully experience life as a husband or father. His marriage ended before it even started. Andy later met actress Victoria Principal, and their relationship became the center of attention. Victoria, who was a confident television star, caught Andy's attention right away. The two met during Andy's peak in his career, and they shared a deep love for some time. Many people believed Victoria was the one who truly won over Andy's heart. They were frequently spotted together, looking happy and close, embracing a future full of possibilities. However, their love eventually deteriorated due to Andy's substance dependence and emotional insecurities, which caused strain on their relationship. Andy struggled to trust himself and others, and the pressures of fame added to his anxiety. Despite Victoria's patience, she eventually decided to end the relationship. She had her career and life aspirations that Andy couldn't fulfill. The breakup was not dramatic, but it had a lasting impact on both of them. Andy never fully moved on from losing Victoria. Afterwards, Andy's relationship started to feel more distant and hazy. There were rumors rumors of him dating actresses and singers, but none of them were confirmed or lasted very long. Some people said he was attracted to attractive women in show business, but his relationships did not last. It seemed like his heart was open, but he couldn't find lasting love. Andy had many emotional scars that he kept hidden. The rejection from partners, the decline of his popularity, and his struggle with addiction weighed heavily on him. He often felt isolated, even when surrounded by others. The more he tried to find solace, the more it eluded him. He doubted his value at times. Being in the spotlight only added to his struggles rather than alleviating them. He was afraid of being loved and then abandoned, a pattern that repeated itself over time. Even though it was stated that Gibbs never got married, he had a beautiful daughter with one of his companions. What was his relationship with his daughter, and where is she now? One daughter, the only legacy he left behind. Andy Gibb had a brief but successful career in music and gained fame. He was beloved by fans worldwide and had popular songs on the radio. Despite being overshadowed by his famous brothers, his legacy lives on through his daughter, Peta. Peta is Andy's only child, born during a tumultuous period in his life. Peta Gibb was born in Australia in 1978. Her mother, Kim Reeder, had married Andy in 1976, but their young love did not last. By the time Peta was born, Andy and Kim had already split up. The marriage had ended before Peta was born, and Andy started to drift away from their lives. Andy was not a regular presence in Peta's life. Kim took her daughter back to Australia after they split up, while Andy concentrated on his music and personal issues. They drifted apart both physically and emotionally. It is said that Andy was not actively involved in raising his daughter, so Peta grew up without him around all the time. Kim supposedly decided to raise her daughter out of the public eye, away from the challenges of being in the spotlight and the difficulties that Andy faced. Over time, fans have been curious if the father and daughter ever saw each other again. Rumors say there was a short moment of bonding before Andy died in 1988. These accounts imply they might have talked or met, but there is no definite evidence. No official confirmation was ever given. The situation remains a mysterious secret, hidden from the public. Peta decided to live a private life. Unlike her famous father and uncles who sought fame, she stayed away from the public eye and lived a quiet life away from the entertainment industry. Not much is known about her grown-up years, as she rarely talked about her father publicly and did not do any major interviews or appearances. She lived discreetly, keeping her memories and personal truths to herself. Her mother was the one who wanted things to be that way. Kim has said before that she did not want her daughter to be brought up in the world of celebrities. She preferred her child to have a life of peace rather than one filled with fame. This choice probably had a big impact on Peta's life, allowing her to develop in an environment very different from her father's. It is not known if Peta received anything from Andy's estate after his death. There is uncertainty about whether she inherited any of his music royalties or assets due to his lack of a proper estate plan. Public records do not show any evidence of her receiving an inheritance or being recognized in his financial legacy. However, the only thing that still connects her to him is their blood relation, which is a strong bond that cannot be replaced by fame or wealth. But how was his life tragically cut short? What led to his untimely demise at such a young age? Tragic death at only 30 years old. Andy's health had been getting worse for a long time. Even though his fans still loved him, the people close to him could see that he was having a hard time. Using cocaine for a long time had made his heart weaker. At first, he used cocaine to deal with the stress of being famous, but it became a big problem. Being addicted to cocaine hurt not only his career, but also his body. He used to be lively and full of energy, but now he seemed more delicate. There were times when he seemed to be getting better, but the harm had already started to become visible. Andy made multiple attempts to recover over time. He went to treatment centers multiple times in the hopes of getting his life back on track. There were times when he was sober and seemed healthier, more focused, and ready to pursue music again. These moments brought hope to his family and fans. He started to dream big once more, hoping for a comeback that would showcase his true self to the world. Andy started making plans for a new project before he passed away. There were whispers about him potentially getting back together with his brothers in the Bee Gees. They were considering a reunion, either as a group or with their backing for his solo endeavors. Andy had been talking to music industry professionals, hoping to kickstart his solo career. Music was where Andy felt most comfortable, and he was eager to make a comeback. These plans brought him a sense of direction and motivation. However, that hope did not last long. Andy collapsed in Oxford, England England on March 10, 1988, and was quickly taken to John Radcliffe Hospital. The medical professionals made an effort to revive him, but his body was not strong enough. The official reason for his passing was myocarditis. It was not caused by an overdose like some initially thought. It was not a dramatic or scandalous death. It was a quiet, sudden, and very sad event. His heart had just stopped functioning properly. The news of his death spread fast. His loved ones were surprised and devastated. Only a couple of days before, he had been celebrating his birthday. There had been talk of a brighter future. However, Andy unexpectedly passed away. His siblings were devastated. The Bee Gees issued statements honoring their youngest brother and mourning his loss. Fans expressed their condolences with messages, flowers, and memories in an attempt to deal with his sudden departure. Media sources started wondering right away. Some suspected that substances might have been a factor in Andy's death. However, the official report stated that his heart had been weakened by years of damage and could not function properly anymore. This was not the result of a crazy night out or a public downfall. It was the gentle collapse of a delicate body that had been struggling to recover. The net worth Gibb left behind. In the late 1970s, Andy made money from various sources while being at the height of his career. His albums were selling well, and his singles topped the charts often. He traveled worldwide for performances and earned hefty fees for each show. Andy also earned money from endorsing products and appearing on TV. He wasn't just a singer, he was a well-known personality, which resulted in earning significant amounts. At that time, it appeared that he would have a wealthy life ahead. Andy was not ready to handle his money properly. He liked spending on fancy things because of his fame, but did not know how to manage it wisely. He bought expensive cars, rented luxurious homes, and spent a lot on flashy clothes and parties without planning for the future. He hired financial advisors, but none could help him make smart financial decisions. As a result, he made poor choices and accumulated debt. Andy's personal challenges were a factor in his financial struggles. His fight against addiction drained his resources and finances. He had to go to treatment centers, cancel shows, and go long periods without work, causing his income to decrease while his spending stayed high. This led to a common pattern seen among young celebrities, spending a lot and then dealing with a lot of bills. By the mid-1980s, the wealth he once had seemed endless, now seemed fragile. When Andy died, it was reported that his net worth was less than $1 million, possibly as low as $500,000. This figure included the money in his accounts, his physical possessions, and the rights to his music. However, he also had a lot of debts to pay off. Andy owed money to various creditors. The IRS was asking for unpaid taxes, and there were unresolved legal cases. His successful career had turned into a complicated financial problem after his death. Andy did not have a formal will when he died, so it was unclear what would happen to his assets. His daughter, Peta, and her mother, Kim Reeder, were not close to him. It is unknown whether they inherited anything after his death. Without a will, there could be complications and legal issues surrounding Andy's estate, leading to delays and possible claims from creditors. Even after Andy passed away, his music kept being played on radios and included in collections. People still felt moved by his voice, and his songs stayed popular in pop culture. This led to the question of who gets the money from royalties after someone dies. It's unclear who is getting the earnings from his music now, as the rights to songs often involve contracts and multiple owners, such as siblings or producers. If royalties are still coming in, they may be going to record labels, his family, or whoever is in charge of his estate legally. But what was Gibb known for? Why was it stated that the high pressures of fame contributed to his early demise? Let's take a look at his early years in the spotlight. Early life and rise in the shadow of legends. Andy Gibb was born on March 5, 1958 in Manchester, England. At that time, his family was already well known for their musical talent, especially his older brothers Barry, Robin, and Maurice Gibb, who were members of the famous Bee Gees. Andy was the youngest of 5 siblings and grew up in a household filled with music and ambition. While being surrounded by such talent was a blessing, it also presented a challenge for Andy as he tried to find his place among his accomplished family members. The Gibb family did not stay in England for long because they wanted better opportunities and a fresh start, so they moved to Australia when Andy was still a young child. Moving to a new country exposed Andy to a whole new world. While his older brothers were busy building their careers in England during their teenage years, Andy's early memories were influenced by the warm weather, open spaces, and culture of Australia. It was in Australia where he first started exploring music on his own. Observing his brothers practice, perform, and record songs sparked a strong interest in music within Andy. Despite picking up a guitar and singing, he often felt like he did not quite fit in with his talented family. In Australia, Andy's charisma and emerging musical talents allowed him to showcase his skills in clubs and local talent shows. People loved his performances, which boosted his confidence gradually. Despite being young, Andy was determined to carve out his identity and music style instead of just being known as Barry's little brother. This strong desire pushed him to work hard, but also led to internal struggles. The pressure of living up to the Gibb family name was overwhelming for Andy. Every move he made was compared to the success of his brothers. When Andy's family moved to the United States, his ambitions grew stronger. He saw America as the ultimate place where stars were born and legends were made. To be taken seriously, Andy worked harder by performing wherever he could and recording demo tracks. Barry Gibb, a successful musician in the Bee Gees, believed in Andy's talent and used his influence to help Andy get a recording contract. Despite Barry's support and guidance, Andy started feeling pressured. He was thankful for the help, but worried that others might think his success was only because of his brothers. Despite concerns, Andy's career as a solo artist became very successful and surprised the music industry. His first single, I Just Want to Be Your Everything, released in 1977 and written by Barry, became a huge hit. Andy's voice, described as soft, emotional, and warm, resonated with audiences. His youthful appearance and friendly demeanor made him popular with young fans, particularly teenage girls. He wasn't just recognized as a member of the famous Gibb family, he was establishing himself as a star in his merit. In that year, Andy came out with his debut album called Flowing Rivers. The album was full of catchy tunes and impressive singing, showing Andy had real talent. The album's popularity made him famous and completely transformed his life. Instead of being in the background, he was now in the spotlight, performing in packed venues, featured on magazine covers, and living a glamorous lifestyle. Surprisingly, Andy continued his success after his first hit by releasing two more popular singles, Love is Thicker Than Water and Shadow Dancing. All three songs reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, putting him in a small group of artists who accomplished this feat. His fans were very enthusiastic about him, attending his concerts in large numbers and putting up his posters everywhere. He quickly became a teen idol with a carefully designed image to attract younger fans. Andy also ventured into the world of television, appearing on various talk shows and entertainment programs, captivating audiences with his charm. He later became the co-host of the popular music show Solid Gold, alongside Marilyn McCoo. His charisma and ability to connect with viewers further boosted his fame. Television allowed Andy to reach a wider audience beyond just music, establishing him as a well-known figure in American households. Despite his accomplishments, he always had to deal with being compared to his brothers. Some viewed him as the adorable younger brother of the Bee Gees, a gentler version of the famous trio. While some meant this as a form of praise, Andy felt like he could never break free from this label. He frequently wondered if people truly appreciated him for who he was, or if they only saw him as part of the Gibb family. Although he possessed his charm, sense of style, and a unique voice, he was always associated with Barry, Robin, and Maurice. This connection brought him both opportunities and uncertainties. Addiction and downward spiral. The bitter cost of fame. Andy struggled to cope with the rapid rise to fame and the overwhelming pressure that came with it. The chaos and excitement of Hollywood made it difficult for him to stay grounded. By the late 1970s, Andy found himself in a world full of bright lights, parties, and constant attention. Everyone wanted a part of him. Fans, producers, journalists. He was young and felt overwhelmed. Cocaine was prevalent in this new lifestyle. Initially, it appeared harmless as those around him were using it. Andy wanted to fit in and keep up with the fast pace, so he started using it too. What began as enjoyment soon turned into something different. The substance provided him with energy and confidence, but it also started to take away from him his focus, his stability, and eventually, his peace of mind. Andy began to change as he started using more cocaine. People who used to think of him as kind and caring began to see differences in how he acted. His behavior became inconsistent, going from happy to sad suddenly. He would be in a good mood one minute and then extremely down the next. Sometimes he would miss rehearsals, arrive late, or not show up at all. People were no longer sure how he would act. Those closest to him were concerned as they saw him losing his spark, but Andy appeared to be drifting away. His career started to decline. The TV shows and chances that had made him famous were no longer available. He was taken off shows he used to host proudly. Music labels were reluctant to collaborate with him. Industry insiders who used to praise him now avoided him. Producers were unwilling to give him opportunities. The stress of fame, combined with personal issues, left Andy in a tough spot. He wanted to continue, but he was feeling worn out, physically and mentally. His family noticed his struggles and attempted to assist him. In particular, his brothers, especially Barry, tried to support him by encouraging breaks and suggesting he receive treatment. They cared for him and wished for his improvement. Andy did not always react positively to their efforts. At times, he felt criticized or not understood. While he recognized their caring intentions, he also felt like he was disappointing them. He did not want to be the one who failed while the rest of the family succeeded. Andy was emotionally breaking down. He was embarrassed about his errors and couldn't let go of the regrets of missed opportunities. The fame that used to make him feel good now felt like a burden. Depression started to control him. He withdrew himself from others, not knowing who to confide in. The happiness he used to get from singing and performing diminished. Music no longer provided solace. It only reminded him of his losses and the things he was afraid he would never regain. Andy became more and more reliant on cocaine, which made it harder for him to deal with things. He attempted to make a comeback several times, thinking he could regain his former success. However, something always prevented him from succeeding. His voice and energy were not the same as before. There was a hint of sadness even when he smiled. The addiction had transformed him, causing more harm than was visible to others. Andy's story became even more heartbreaking because things took a turn for the worse quickly. Within just a couple of years, he went from being successful to struggling with his life. The fame that once made him feel unique was now leading him towards ruin. Despite having loved ones around him, addiction created barriers that even love couldn't overcome. Despite his sad life and early demise, Gibb's legacy is one that can't be forgotten easily. Legacy of a fallen star. Andy Gibb died at a young age, but people still remember him fondly. He is not just known for being the Bee Gees' younger brother, but as a talented star in his right. Despite his short time in the spotlight, Andy's charisma, singing voice, and personal struggles left a lasting impact on the music industry and his fans. His music, with gentle tunes and sincere lyrics, will never go out of style. Andy combined pop and soft rock in a way that still resonates with audiences today. His most popular songs are still popular among different ages, bringing back memories of the happiness he brought during his short time in the spotlight. Many new artists have taken cues from his music, with some even incorporating his songs into their work to honor his legacy. Even people who weren't around when he was famous can still connect with the emotion in his voice, making his music feel modern and meaningful even years later. Andy's family always remembered him. His brothers, particularly Barry, frequently talked about him in interviews with a combination of love and sadness. They ensured that people understood how unique Andy was, not only as a singer, but also as a person. During their performances, the Bee Gees occasionally honored him in subtle ways, through song selections or gentle references. These instances served as a reminder to fans that even though Andy was no longer with them, he still held a special place in their hearts and music. The connection between the brothers was strong, and even after his passing, their love for him stayed unwavering. Over time, there have been documentaries and TV specials that have examined Andy's life. These programs portrayed his life authentically, showcasing his talent as well as delving into the challenges that ultimately caused his decline. Various books have been written about the Gibb family. with Andy's life being a prominent feature in these narratives. Many people are still attracted to his story, not just because of his fame, but because of the emotional depth it holds. It is a tale that encompasses beauty, sorrow, and the risks associated with achieving too much success at a young age. People all over the world work to remember Andy and keep his spirit alive. They use online groups and forums to share memories, rare footage, pictures, and personal stories about how his music impacted them. Some fans never met Andy in person, but still feel a strong bond to his songs and the kindness he exuded. Each year on the anniversary of his death, there are memorials and digital tributes filled with love and longing. Even today, new fans are discovering Andy's music and becoming enamored with it. Andy Gibb's life taught valuable lessons to many people. He demonstrated the excitement of being a young talent and the dangers of achieving sudden fame. His life story is often used as a cautionary tale about the dangers of substance use, emotional neglect, and the importance of having a strong support system during difficult times. Furthermore, Andy serves as a reminder to look past the glamour of fame and recognize the human being behind the celebrity image. He was in need of care and understanding, highlighting the significance of never forgetting to provide these things to others. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.